This video is going to give a broad overview of the EShop planning and scheduling function for J.D. Edwards. First of all, I just want to give you just a couple details, and then we're going to dive in and look at some screens. EShop sits on top of J.D. Edwards, and it uses CRP and MRP, or Capacity Requirements Planning and Materials Requirements Planning. All the things that J.D. Edwards has been doing for you for years, it still continues to do. And what EShop does is it gives you easier access and a better way of looking at that valuable information so you can get your work done more quickly, more accurately, and more easily. And how does it do that? Well, it allows planners to work from a big picture view so you can more easily see problems and opportunities. A lot of times in J.D. Edwards, you're flipping back and forth between a lot of different screens to get the information you need, and that's more time consuming. EShop also allows drill down to the pertinent detail. So instead of having to get out of something and flip over to another session and take a look at it, you'll just double click in most cases in EShop and you can get more detail. It also, what we have found is that most, if not all, of the locations were using a separate spreadsheet to manage the schedule because they couldn't really get their arms around the whole schedule and what they needed to do to sort and maintain and work with it day by day. And this, of course, is time consuming as well as tedious because it's once you dump it into the spreadsheet, it's already, the information is already out of date. And finally, all information is drawn from J.D. Edwards and EShop using real-time information wherever possible. And we'll show you what we mean by that in this demonstration. Okay, let's go into EShop. This is the EShop scheduling menu, and we're going to look at the master schedule for Hydrotech. This particular view is one that mimics the spreadsheet that Hydrotech was using. In EShop, it's always very possible to create a copy and tweak a view if someone else needs to look at it differently. We could have each location having their own view of this material or of this schedule to however you need to work. So this is Hydrotech, and what they were doing was updating and creating a spreadsheet, updating it every day in the order that they needed to do it, the work in, which for the top several usually was not the order in which the plan that comes out of MRP and CRP was suggestion, because there's always, different circumstances that aren't accounted for. And then what they would do with this spreadsheet is it would get updated every day, and the team of the inventory manager, the production supervisor, the production manager, and the planner scheduler would get together and kind of talk through, okay, this is what's going on here. They would use the spreadsheet. They'd all be looking at a printed copy of it to discuss kind of the strategy for the day. So when developing this planning tool in EShop, we looked to get all the information we could from the system, from J.D. Edwards, that was available right then, instead of someone having to type it back in. And in addition, we wanted to extend that, what you could do in J.D. Edwards, and allow the planner to make exceptions in the order in which things were going to be done, and to add particular comments. So comments and priority were the main things. Okay, so this is the overridden priority. In these first, however many of those are, they're not 50, but these orders are all ones that needed to be done differently than the schedule that was set by J.D. Edwards. This is the put to stock date, which you're familiar with from J.D. Edwards. And starting here, this one was needs to be ready to go by the 27th of August. Today, as we speak, it's the 24th, and it goes down from there later and later. Okay, so one of the things they like to see, which maybe it's unique to this location, but it was something they used, so we put it in. Another location would not have to have this if they didn't want it on their view. This is just say these are the work center numbers of the open operations that are still open for this order to be completed, for this work order to be completed. They always want to see their customer, the item number, the description, order number, quantity ordered, completed. For instance, here's one that's halfway completed, quantity still remaining. And these are the notes that were added by the planner. I'm just going to show you real quickly, but I'm not going to actually do it. This is what the planner does. To change the priority, they click on this little action for the parent work order, or the highest level work order. The automatic default is 5/9. So if you want it done any sooner than that, just, you put a relative number. These numbers are not significant in themselves. And then any comments that you want to put could be written here. And just note, this field expands. I think you have 150 characters of notes that you could add. I'm going to cancel this because this is live data. But any change in priority changes the order, as you can see here. These are in order by priority, and once you get down to all the defaulted priorities, meaning they haven't been escalated, it sorts in the order of the put to stock date. Okay, a couple things I'd like to show you in here. Well, for one thing, what they are doing at Hydrotech is you can export this to a spreadsheet. And so they do that so they can still have a copy of the spreadsheet if they need it and want it for discussions. And you can save it. The other thing you could do is look at, I'm going to just take this one and look at all the child orders. Oops. This little one that has paper doll children holding hands. So here we see the child orders of this one. You've got the blind tang and the blind cap. You also see the status. This one has been started, and this one has it's a yellow for warning. Not all parts are fully issued. You can also double click on this particular child, or for that matter on any of the parent work orders, and you'll get some work order detail. You can see the route steps and their status. This one, for instance, has these first 2 steps are completed. There's no remaining quantity, and these last 2 have not yet been, well, actually, over here you could see once you start jobbing onto it, it records that date. So it was started in EShop 8/24, which is the date today. So they haven't claimed any quantities yet. You also get the parts list. Anything in red has not yet been issued. And down here you could see all of the job on, job off transactions. Any one of these boxes can be expanded anywhere in EShop by just clicking here. Just make it easier to focus in on that. So these are the job on, job offs in the date and time sequence they've been created. So you can see on this one, they had started running it on the 21st of July. and I imagine something happened, and it was started back up again on the 14th, and then today at 8:17 a.m. to 9:11. Okay, so I'm just going to click on that to close that back down, or to put it back in perspective. So that's the sort of thing you can do in here. That's the drill down capability I talked about, etc. The last thing I would like to show you about the views, or about planning and scheduling views, is, as I mentioned earlier, this can look however you want it. What we have here is one that nobody's currently using yet, but it was modeled after the spreadsheet that was used at CB. And so it's the same orders, and they're appearing in the same order. At CB, they wanted to know which ones were already past due. They were requested, I believe that's the same as the put to stock date, on these dates, and today's the 24th, so all of those are past due. You can see the ship date, item number, description, etc. Much of the same information that's on the other screen. This status is something that we determine using the data in the system, and we're still refining that, because it's really kind of amazing how detailed we can get with information already available. We have a general category called concerns, which could be either something's at an outside process, or all the material has not yet been issued that needs to be issued. Let's just drill down into one of these orders. And this is actually the parent order we're looking at. And here we can see the prepping of the components has been done. And the next step is assembly. Looks like they have already assembled 54 of them. Anyway, you get the general idea. Here's the ones in yellow. They have not been fully issued. If they were not issued at all, they would be in red. Okay. All right, and the other thing, the final thing I would just draw your attention to is, in determining the status of a parent order, the system, or EShop, will go through and look at all of the child orders and look and see if any of those have inventory issues, if they've been completed, if they're at an outside process, if there's been a hard halt put on it because the machine's broken or something that it needs to run at, and we'll talk about hard halts in another demo. But all of those things are examined in the code automatically for you and updated every 2 minutes. This shows, of the children, 9 of the work orders have been started, 5 of them have concerns, none halted and none not started. If we drill down with this child button to see the detailed work orders, you can see all of these have been completed that are in gray. This one is started, and only this one has parts not fully issued. Let's take a drill down on that work order again. I think that might have been the one we looked at earlier. But from there, you can go in and see something interesting is going on there. There's negative 22 remaining, but here's the steps that still have quantity remaining. So you can get a really good idea of what's going on at whatever level you want, whether it's the high level or an individual child work order or an individual route step on an individual child work order. There's a lot of information in here. All right, that completes the brief demo of scheduling, and I would encourage you to go in and click around in there and just give it a try. I think you'll recognize the information, but find it in a more useful format. Thanks for your time.